Hey, it's Dave Wyman from Danny, Dave, and More. Time for Football 101. Don't really want to do it this week after a loss, but let's break down the loss and what happened. And I got some different ideas here. Here's the Brent Stecker from 710sports.com, the Stecker theory. His theory is that he has some wild ones. There was something about the Mariner fork pointing down that was causing players to get hurt. He's a little crazy. Brent is, but we love him. The Stecker theory was that Pete was concussed during the game because he got hit in the face with the football. So not buying that one, but always interesting stuff coming from Brent Stecker. Were the Seahawks dominated in this loss? 33-27 was the score. Danny felt that way. I know Brock Heward felt this way. And me being a product of Chuck Knox, and Paul Moyer went on about this extensively in the postgame show, because Paul and I both played for Chuck Knox, and Paul also coached with Chuck, is that every game comes down to 3 plays. Sometimes it's 4 plays, sometimes it's 5 plays. We've got a couple of honorable mentions, but that's the theory that I subscribe to. Not the Stecker theory, not the Danny and Brock theory, but that it comes down to 3 plays. So let's look at the first one. The punt return for a touchdown. That was after the first series, and they started out on the 25-yard line. Two penalties later, one on Disley and one on Ben Burkervin, 2 UW guys, by the way. They end up punting from the 15-yard line. And both those guys are fantastic players, especially Disley and the way he's played. He's 5 touchdowns in his first couple of years, and he got hurt last year, but just a great player, great blocker. But, you know, he made a little bit of a mistake. It was kind of a questionable call, but now all of a sudden you're punting from the 15-yard line, and they get a punt return, and Michael Dixon very uncharacteristically hits a bad punt. And Deontay Davis, maybe the biggest underdog in the world, guy's 5'6", from Assumption College in Worcester, Mass. Never heard of it. They just feel like he was a dynamic player, and he scores a punt return touchdown. So there's 7 points right there. There's one play. Second, Carson fumbles, and it ends up being a touchdown. This is his first good run. It was like -4, -1, 2 yards, 3 yards. He goes for 23 yards, and I felt bad for him, but the ball came away from his body a little bit. Eli Apple, the DB for the Saints, punches it out. There's 14 points right there. So, and then finally, and this is why I just have 3 here, but they're 4th and 4. They got a stop on the Saints, force him to kick a 53-yard field goal. It's no good, and yet Al Woods was lined up over the center. And, that's just one of those things that you just have to do. I mean, I felt like the Seahawks really sort of self-destructed here. They just made mistakes. But there's 3 plays right there. And after this missed field goal, 7 plays later, touchdown, there's 21 points right there on 3 plays. So, here's some honorable mention ones. You got a non-uniformed player on the field after they got a punt recovery by Cody Barton. Not going to mention who it was, but, so instead of starting at the 33, they start at the 48. Well, the drive ends up stalling at the 13, so there's your 15 yards right there. Another one, 9:47 in the 4th quarter left, and Pete decides to go for it. I was for it at the time because remember last year in Carolina, they went for it on 4th down and got a touchdown out of it, David Moore. So there's another, couple honorable mentions. Maybe you could say it was 5 plays. But to me, yes, Alvin Kamara ran through a bunch of tackles. They allowed Teddy Bridgewater, the backup quarterback, to go 70%. Yeah, but I don't think that's domination. It was just a matter of a few plays. Let's take a look at KJ Wright. And I was looking, he's playing 94% of the time. 94% of the time he's on the field. I had Michael Kendricks around 80%. Of course, Bobby's always out there. But this is one of the reasons why you can leave a linebacker like KJ out on the field in a passing down. It was 3rd and 4. The New Orleans 28, 11:04 left in the 4th. First of all, KJ, he's having his best year so far. A great start. He's already got 29 tackles, and he had a pass broken up on this. And what they're running here is, and the Saints were 2-by-2 with receivers. They ran cover 2. And cover 2 is a great underneath zone to run, because you're vulnerable deep because you just got these two guys covering the deep half of the field, but you got all of these guys dropping underneath. And also they also dropped Quentin Jefferson on this. They had a 3-man rush, so they're coming with 3, and then Quentin actually peeled off, and this receiver right here, they had triple covered. I think there was 3 guys on him, but KJ was matched up on Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas, arguably the best receiver in the league. In his 4th year, he's already got 4,000 yards in receiving. And he just runs, it's 3rd and 4, and he just runs like a 5-yard little out route. And KJ drops back with him, and it's not man-to-man, and then he jumps it and almost got himself an interception there. But, because KJ can jump these kinds of routes, and he's so good in coverage and such a good tackler, they're going to leave him out on the field. And you want your best players out on the field, and KJ Wright is definitely one of them. But Seahawks not able to get the win. But, I'm loving what we're seeing in some of these other areas. This is one of the few positive plays, but still I go back to 3 to 5 plays. You take those away, and the Seahawks should learn from that going forward. That's what will lose you a ball game.